Hello learners, welcome back to my channel in the series of operating system subject. Here we are with the next topic, that is hardware protection, and in today's video we are going to understand why do we need the protection from the hardware level. So let's go and start it. Early computer systems were single user programming operated systems. So when the programmers operated the computer from the console, they had complete control over the system. And as operating system developed, the control was given to the operating system. So early operating system were called resident monitors, and starting with the resident monitors, the operating system began to perform many of the functions, especially I/O, for which the programmer had previously been responsible. Now operating system is responsible. So in addition to improve system utilization, the operating system began to share system resources among several programs simultaneously. Like with as I have already discussed, with spooling, one program might have been executing while I/O occurred for other processes. So the disk simultaneously held data for many processes. So what multiprogramming does? It puts multiple or several programs in memory at the same time. So this sharing both improved utilization and increased problems as well. So when the system was run without sharing, an error in a program could cause problems for only the one program that was running. And with sharing, many processes could be adversely affected by a bug in one program. Right? So there could be many types of problem if you are sharing your resources with many programs. Like if you have given CPU to a process and that process does not relinquish the CPU after some time that it has to. So the complete control should be there with the operating system. The control should be come back to the operating system. Even more subtle errors can occur in the multi-programming system, where one erroneous program might modify the program or data of another program, or even the resident monitor or operating system itself, है ना. एक प्रोग्राम जो है दूसरे प्रोग्राम के एड्रेस स्पेस को ओवरराइट कर दे, या फिर प्रोग्राम्स जो हैं जो रन हो रहे हैं दे मे टेक द space of address space of operating system itself. So these are the problems that need to be sorted out, and for that many programming errors are detected by the hardware. So first of all, we need to protect our hardware. So the protection comes from the hardware actually. We need to protect the hardware. Those are CPU, memory and I/O. These are the hardware with us, and protection is required for these hardware. So to do that, hardware protection is divided into 4 categories. It has started with the dual mode operation, then input output protection, memory protection and CPU protection. Actually there are 3 hardware. The last 3 points are the hardware protection. It has started with the dual mode operation that we have to discuss. What is that dual mode operation? So to ensure proper operation, we must protect the operating system and all other programs and their data from any malfunctioning programs. Agreed? So protection is needed for any shared resources. So at the very least, we need 2 separate modes of operation, that is user mode and monitor mode, also called supervisor mode. This monitor mode is also known as supervisor mode, kernel mode, system mode, privileged mode. Right? So with a user mode, these 2 modes, the CPU has to switch among these 2 modes. Sometimes when if you are in the user mode, you are actually executing the on behalf of the user, and if you are in the kernel mode or in the monitor mode, the task that is executed on behalf of the operating system. So to distinguish between them, a mode bit is added to the hardware of the computer to indicate the current mode. So if it is monitor mode, the bit is set to 0, and if it is user mode, the bit is set to 1. When system first system boot time, the hardware starts in monitor mode. Okay, the hardware starts with monitor mode. The operating system is then loaded and starts user processes in user mode, as you can see. This is the monitor mode. At this time, we have the mode bit set to 0. When the system booting completed, the monitor mode is the hardware or the operating system automatically set the user mode or set the mode bit as 1. This is. And once it is in user mode, now user can perform its instruction or its task. But whenever there is a trap or interrupt occur, when does this trap or interrupt occur? Whenever a user wants to execute or wants to access any hardware devices which is not in their directly controlled. ठीक है, तो उस समय यूजर मोड में जो इंस्ट्रक्शंस एग्जीक्यूट हो रहे हैं, इफ अगर यूजर को किसी हार्डवेयर डिवाइस को एक्सेस करना है तो वो किसी सिस्टम कॉल को जनरेट करेगा, एंड व्हेनेवर दैट सिस्टम कॉल विल बी जनरेटेड, द ट्रैप और इंटरप्ट will be occurred in the system, and the mode will be set to again from user mode to monitor mode, and the mode bit is set from 1 to 0. And when it is in monitor mode, those trap or system call which is called by the user will be executed in the monitor mode, and once it returns the result to the user, it will again set the mode bit to 1 as a user mode, so that user can perform its further task. So all the system calls instructions are called privileged instruction, and that can be executed only in monitor mode, right? So the dual mode of operation provides us with the means for protecting the operating system from errant user and errant user from one another. We accomplish this protection by designating some of the machine instruction that may cause harm as privileged instruction, and I'm talking about that privileged instruction are the part of system calls, and hardware allows privileged instruction to be executed only in monitor mode. If an attempt is made to execute these privileged instruction in user mode, the hardware does not execute the instruction but rather treats the instruction as illegal and traps it to the operating system. So the concept of privileged instruction also provides us with the means for the user to interact with the operating system by asking the system to perform some designated task that only the operating system should do. And what are those privileged instructions? They are nothing but system calls which user wants the operating system should do on his or her behalf, right? So the next dual mode operation, this is the way dual mode operation में computer system काम करता है. User process is executing. Whenever the user calls a system call, the mode bit should be set to 0. That means we are switching from the user mode to the kernel mode. User mode में mode bit क्या होता है? 1. Kernel mode में mode bit क्या होता है? 0. So if you are executing your processes, that time your mode bit is set to 1, you are working in the user mode, and whenever you calls the system call, you first set the mode bit to 0, and there is a switch occur from the user mode to the kernel mode, and then only that system call which is called by the user will be executed. Those privileged instruction inside the system call will be executed in the monitor mode, and once that task or instructions will be completed, result is with the operating system, it will again automatically switch to the or return to the user mode from the kernel mode. So it will set the mode bit to 1, and before switching to the user mode, it set the mode bit to 1 so that user can perform its task automatically. Okay, user can be informed for that resuming of a process. So this is the way dual mode operation works. So the very next protection of hardware, that is IO devices. We need to protect those IO devices. We cannot protect our IO devices unless it is used by the users directly. If users are allowed to use or access those hardware input output devices directly, the operating system cannot control it, because like a user, if it has accessed or occupied a printer, it may not leave that printer for longer time. At that time, if other processes wants to access it, they cannot do that. So in this way, there must be, if there is a sharing of IO devices among multiple processes, the control should be given to the operating system. So we must ensure that a user program could never gain control of the computer in monitor mode. How? So to prevent users from performing illegal IO, we define all IO instructions to be privileged instruction. Thus, user cannot issue IO instruction directly. They must do it through the operating system. For IO protection to be complete, we must be sure that a user cannot gain control of the computer in monitor mode. If it could, IO protection could be compromised, right? जैसे कि अगर कंप्यूटर यूजर मोड में काम कर रहा है, it will switch to the monitor mode whenever an interrupt or trap occurs, jumping to the address determined from the interrupt vector. Interrupt vector जिस एड्रेस में बोलेगा वहां जंप करेगा, which is actually the interrupt service routine address. If a user program as part of its execution stores a new address in the interrupt vector, यूजर ने अगर कुछ ऐसे एड्रेस लिख दिया इंटरप्ट वेक्टर में कि जब स्विचिंग हुआ और उस स्विचिंग में इंटरप्ट वेक्टर में जो एड्रेस था दैट इज द पार्ट ऑफ द एड्रेस ऑफ यूजर, दिस न्यू एड्रेस कुड override the previous address with an address in the user program. Then when a corresponding trap or interrupt occurred, the hardware would switch to the monitor mode and would transfer control through the interrupt vector to the user program. Now the user program could gain control of the computer in monitor mode. In fact, user program could gain control of the computer in monitor mode in many other ways. So thus, to do IO, a user program executes a system call to request to the operating system कि please perform that IO on my behalf. The operating system executes in monitor mode, checks that the request is valid, and if the request is valid, then only the IO requested will be performed. So the operating system then returns to the user after performing those IO operations. So this must be the thing. User should not gain the control of the computer in monitor mode. That we have to protect in IO protection. This is the way. Here, this is a use of a system call to perform IO. Here you can see user is executing its program. Whenever there is a call for a system call, it will trap to the monitor mode. And through the interrupt vector, interrupt vector में आया, interrupt vector में उसको जो एड्रेस मिला वहां से वो उस वहां तक गया उस interrupt service routine में, then it will start reading those system calls, and after performing those instruction or privileged instruction of the system call, it will come back to the user program, return to the user. So in this way, system call should be called by the user whenever they want to access the IO devices. That's it. ठीक है, जब भी IO devices access करना है किसी भी यूजर को, किसी भी प्रोसेस को, they must call the system call. Through system call only they can perform it. So in this way we can protect our IO devices. Then the next protection is memory protection. What is memory protection? देखो, interrupt vector जो एड्रेस कंटेन कर रहा था इंटरप्ट सर्विस रूटीन का, ठीक, उस एड्रेस को पहले यूजर अगर चेंज कर ले तो प्रॉब्लम आएगी. चलो उस एड्रेस को चेंज ना करे, लेकिन अगर इंटरप्ट सर्विस रूटीन जो प्रिविलेज इंस्ट्रक्शन अपने सिस्टम कॉल के अंदर रखा है उसी को चेंज कर दिया तो यूजर ने, जो कि मेमोरी में कहीं पे लिखा हुआ था, those are the system calls, those are the privileged instruction that was the address that is actually stored inside the operating system address. तो यूजर प्रोग्राम यूजर स्पेस से, अपने यूजर स्पेस से ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम के स्पेस में अगर डायरेक्ट जाके किसी सिस्टम कॉल को चेंज कर देता है और इंटेंशनली इन इट्स प्रोग्राम इट इज कॉलिंग दैट सिस्टम कॉल, तो वो एग्जीक्यूट जब होगा उस टाइम में यूजर का पूरा कंट्रोल आ जाएगा मॉनिटर मोड में भी, तो डिजास्टर हो सकता है. So to ensure the correct operation, we must protect the interrupt vector from modification by a user program. In addition, we must also protect the interrupt service routine in the operating system from modification. है ना? Even if the user did not gain unauthorized control of the computer, modifying the interrupt service routine would probably disrupt the proper operation of the computer system. एंड ऑफ इट्स पूलिंग एंड बफरिंग, है ना। जो काम उस सिस्टम कॉल में किया जाता था उसको जाके यूजर ने चेंज कर दिया, तो ठीक है, अनऑथराइज्ड एक्सेस तो गेन नहीं कर पाएगा, बट definitely it will disrupt the proper operation of the computer system. So we must provide the memory protection at least for the interrupt vector and the interrupt service routine, and for that we need to divide or separate each user's address space and the operating system address space, and for that we use two types of register that determine the range of legal addresses a program may access. So it is a base address and limit, base register and limit register. So the base register holds the smallest legal physical memory address, okay, and the limit register contains the size of the range. So let's see what is that. जैसे कि आप ये देख सकते हो जॉब 2, इट इज द, यहाँ तक जॉब 1 है, यहाँ से डेटा हो सकता है यहाँ पे स्पेस खाली था, तो जॉब 2 को जब स्पेस दिया गया मेन मेमोरी में, तो it has started from this location to that location. So the base address of the job 2 will be this, because it has started from this address, and the limit register will contain the size of the job 2. How many number of instructions is there in the job 2 which needs different location in the memory address, that is the actual size of the job 2, and by adding the base address with the size, we will get the size, or the limit register, we will get the last address of the job 2. So in this way the different programs are stored with the help of base and limit register. Now it is the responsibility of the operating system to keep track of the base register and limit register of each program which is there in the main memory, right? Then only you can define the address space of particular job. So this job 2 can use this location from here to there in its execution for storing anything during, like temporary data or any file or any other result, that job 2 should use this address space. This job 2 cannot write into job 2 1 and job 3 address space, not even monitor's address space or operating system address space, right? So for implementing this, there is a hardware structure that operating system perform whenever there is a request from the CPU to execute an instruction. Where is that instruction? देखिए, हार्डवेयर एड्रेस प्रोटेक्शन हमको देना है. CPU has generated an address, logical address. That address, जो भी एड्रेस है वो मेन मेमोरी का एड्रेस है, वो इंस्ट्रक्शन यहाँ पर होना चाहिए, ठीक. तो हम यहाँ पर बात कर रहे हैं कंटिन्यूअस मेमोरी एलोकेशन की, राइट. हम ऐसा मान के चल रहे हैं कि जो भी मेमोरी और जो भी जॉब्स और प्रोग्राम्स मेन मेमोरी में आ रहे हैं, दे आर टेकिंग द कंटिन्यूअस मेमोरी, ठीक है. ऐसा नहीं कि जॉब 2 यहाँ पर भी है तो आधा यहाँ पर है, जगह नहीं थी तो आधा यहाँ रखा आधा यहाँ रखा. हम उस कंसेप्ट की अभी बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. वी आर एक्चुअली टॉकिंग अबाउट द कंटिन्यूअस मेमोरी एलोकेशन, वेयर contiguously the particular job is given as an address space in the main memory, right. तो CPU ने एक एड्रेस जनरेट किया, एक इंस्ट्रक्शन का, उसको एग्जीक्यूट करना है. सबसे पहले उस एड्रेस को हम लोग चेक करेंगे क्या वो एड्रेस बेस रजिस्टर में जो भी वैल्यू लिखी है उससे ज्यादा है या उसके बराबर है. If it is greater than or equal to, then only you will allow that instruction to go inside, so that job 2 के एड्रेस स्पेस में ही रहे, ठीक. तो जब CPU और लॉजिकल एड्रेस जनरेट करा तो ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम को ये पता है कि कौन सा प्रोग्राम एग्जीक्यूट हो रहा है. जो प्रोग्राम एग्जीक्यूट हो रहा है उसके बेस और लिमिट रजिस्टर की वैल्यू उसको पता है. सो इट विल operating system will check the address generated by the CPU with the base address or base register value of that particular process. If it is greater than or equal to, then only it will go through it, otherwise it will trap to the operating system, ठीक है, कि there is an error, illegal memory access error, ठीक. तो अगर आप बेस एड्रेस के अंदर है, मतलब या तो आप यहाँ पर इक्वल होंगे या आगे कहीं पर होंगे. उसके बाद आगे कहीं पर होंगे, इससे क्या हमारा चेक हो जाएगा कि कहाँ से ये सही है कि नहीं. नो, यू हैव एलोकेटेड जॉब 2 फ्रॉम हियर टू देयर, ये लोकेशन है आपके जॉब 2 का. अगर ये चेंज ये भी आपको चेक करना है कि ठीक है इससे ज़्यादा तो है या इसके इक्वल तो है, तो सही इंस्ट्रक्शन जनरेट हो रहा है सीपीयू बाय सीपीयू, बट इससे ज़्यादा भी नहीं होना चाहिए। जो लिमिट रजिस्टर को ऐड करने के बाद जो वैल्यू आ रही है उससे ज़्यादा भी नहीं होना चाहिए, अदरवाइज इट विल लीड टू द अनदर जॉब्स एड्रेस स्पेस, राइट। सो बेस एड्रेस अगर से ज़्यादा है तो यस गो थ्रू हुआ, देन इट विल चेक बेस एड्रेस में जो वैल्यू है इट विल बी एडेड बाय टू द लिमिट रजिस्टर में जो वैल्यू है दोनों को ऐड किया, उन दोनों में जो वैल्यू है इट मस्ट बी द generated by the address generated by the CPU must be less than this value. It must be less than this value. Then only it would be able to access the main memory, or it is the part of the address space of that particular process. और अगर यहाँ पर fail होता है तो it will be trapped to the operating system. In this way, memory protection is provided by the hardware. So this base and limit register can be loaded by only the operating system, which uses a special privileged instruction. Since privileged instruction can be executed in only monitor mode, and since only the operating system executes in monitor mode, only the operating system can load the base and limit register. So this scheme allows the monitor to change the value of the registers but prevent user programs for changing the register's content. In this way, the operating system executing in monitor mode is given unrestricted access to both monitor and user's memory. So the next hardware protection is CPU protection. So the CPU is another hardware that needs to be protected. Okay? We must prevent a user program from getting stuck in an infinite loop or not calling system services and never returning control to the operating system. एक बार CPU मिला तो उसको छोड़ ही नहीं रहे, तो ऐसा भी नहीं होना चाहिए, राइट। टू अकम्प्लिश दिस गोल वी कैन यूज अ टाइमर। टाइमर का कंसेप्ट हम यूज कर सकते हैं। अ टाइमर कैन बी सेट टू इंटरप्ट द कंप्यूटर आफ्टर अ स्पेसिफाइड पीरियड। So the period may be fixed or it can be variable timer. So the operating system sets the counter actually. If every time the clock ticks, the counter is decremented to 1. So when the counter reaches 0 and whenever the counter reaches 0, an interrupt occurs. So before turning over control to the user, the operating system ensures that the timer is set to interrupt. If the timer interrupts, control transfers automatically to the operating system, which may treat the interrupt as a fatal error or may give the program more time. So clearly, instructions that modify the operation of the timer are privileged instructions. जो timer को change करेगा, those are also a privileged instruction that cannot be set by the user, right? So in this way, using timer, we can protect our CPU. So once the time over, the next process has to be loaded. The process which is allocated to the CPU has to be relinquish the CPU. So in this way, we can efficiently or effectively utilize the different hardware of our computer system. So I thought you have understood some of the things. Better understand it. Keep watching 2 or 3 times. You will definitely understand the hardware protection. And this is the most important topic, and you must understand this thing because the concept or the logic will be used in the upcoming videos. Okay, thank you so much.